Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
برادر محترم جناب دکتر مطلق القحطانی نماینده دولت قطر، بزرگان حاضر در مجلس، خواهران و برادران عزیز، السلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته. خوشحال هستیم که در طی 2 روز بحث و مذاکره که
This is a press conference being held by members of the Afghan government and the Taliban who are in Qatar for talks on proposals for a political roadmap and a constitution for Afghanistan. A few hours ago, the Taliban had rejected certain proposals with regard to that roadmap. This is Abdullah, who is chairman of the Afghan Council for National Reconciliation, who is giving his remarks on what has been happening during the course of the day. He's giving those remarks in Arabic at the moment. I want to cross over, if I can, to our correspondent, Roz Jordan, who is live for us in Washington, D.C. Roz, the U.S. has had a presence, of course, at these talks, particularly in the personage of the U.S. Special Envoy for Afghanistan, Zalmay Khalilzad. Talk us through how the U.S. is regarding the way these talks are going.
Well, the U.S.'s understanding has always been that in something of this magnitude, trying to reach a comprehensive peace deal between the Taliban and the civilian-led government in Kabul, that it's going to take time, that these talks are going to be quite difficult, and that both sides are going to be making demands of the other that would be politically untenable to their supporters. And so that is why you see all of these fits and starts, repeated rounds, threats to walk away, decisions to return to the table, comments about the need for a political settlement. That's perhaps the most important part out of this. Even as groups loyal to the Taliban, either members or independent militias, have been retaking territory across the northern half of Afghanistan, the leader of the Taliban said that he knows and that the rest of the Taliban leadership understands that the only way forward for Afghanistan is to reach a political settlement. Now, it may be falling upon things such as what to actually give as Afghanistan's official name. Is it an emirate or is it an Islamic Republic? But the larger question is this: what should be the overarching vision of the country? And this is something which both parties are trying to hammer out. Officials here in Washington have said now for the better part of a decade that it is not up to Washington to dictate what that vision of a future Afghanistan should be. If anything, they would be pleased, I would imagine, to see that the negotiations continue. Would they like to see things wrap up quickly? Certainly. But do they know that getting a deal that is going to be as inclusive and as comprehensive, and that makes both sides feel as if they struck a good bargain, that's much more important to those who are watching from the sidelines here in Washington.
And Roz, although of course, the U.S. has led the military pullout of U.S. and NATO forces from Afghanistan, we should stress that the U.S. is not abandoning Afghanistan completely. There is going to be some limited presence there, but equally one would imagine going forward, there's got to be thoughts about how the U.S. is going to deal with Afghanistan and whatever eventually the government of Afghanistan looks like.
Well, certainly, as far as the short-term foreign policy of the United States is concerned, Afghanistan is still very much a central part of it. Just this past week, we saw Ambassador Khalilzad, along with a high-ranking State Department official, visit several nearby countries, including Kazakhstan and Tajikistan, to talk about ways that countries in the region can support Afghanistan as it moves into this next phase of its existence as a country, trying to work out the economic, the political, the regional security concerns that all of these countries could contribute in order to help Afghanistan thrive and try to move away from the prospect of civil war, which is apparently something that a lot of people inside Afghanistan are worried about right now. So this is not a matter of the United States walking away. The embassy in Kabul is still going to be open. The complex there that has not just security forces, but more than 1,000 diplomats and contractors who are working on programs around the country. But it is going to be more difficult because right now, or rather until recently, the diplomats could count on gaining access to different parts of the country because the U.S. military was there to transport them. Now, with the military pullout just about complete, it's going to be much more difficult for U.S. officials to move around the country. Afghanistan is considered a